going on, everybody? I am out here in Kansas heading back to the scene of the crime where I shot my buck this past fall. Got some cameras that have been soaking since November. A couple cameras, most of them I haven't even checked since beginning of November or end of October. And one camera that I checked obviously when I harvested my buck, the scrape I was hunting over. So we're gonna pull these cameras, see what's on them, and see what else I can find while I'm here. Fingers crossed I can find some sheds too. But we're at the first camera location here on our way back. Let's see what it's got. I've got 720 pictures on here, so let's see what's on here. Well, that's a real good buck right off the bat. November 9th, 2:43 in the morning. Here I am on the 14th going in. The morning I end up killing my buck. All three of these trips out. I didn't end up making it out of here till after dark. Ooh, that's a pretty good looking buck right there. November 20th. Real wide deer. Real nice solid buck. Wow. Alright, so the rest of those pictures were mostly young bucks and does, and it was very obvious when gun season pressure picked up because we basically lost movement at this camera once I started seeing gun hunters come in here, which not to be surprised by that at all. This camera was typically a young buck and doe camera anyways, but we definitely had a couple studs on it, especially that real big, looked like an 8 or 9 point, so a really nice deer. So let's pack up here, let's get back to where the really nice deer are. All right, just made it back to camera location number 2. Got a little over 400 pictures, so I'm really curious to see what's on here. The main scrape shifted over to where my camera was pointed. My camera was pointed originally on 2 really heavy scrapes, and it looks like as the season progressed, they moved it over about 10 yards. So there's a good chance I possibly actually missed quite a bit of activity, but we'll see what's on here. Right away, real nice deer. This is the 9 point that I was keeping tabs on for most of the season. Ah, check it out. Guess who that is? That's my deer. That's my buck. This is the only time I've gotten a picture of him over on this ridge. It's very interesting. So this was just days before I ended up harvesting this buck. Super heavy 10 point on the 11th. Wow, that's a heavy deer. Oh, here comes Mr. Grandpa. Y'all ever seen a deer quite that old? I mean, I would love to see his teeth. An absolute grandpa of a buck, ancient deer. Well, here's a stud of an 8 point on November 20th. Look at that body, real heavy body, thick neck. And this one had a lot of deer movement, a lot of good buck movement. I'm definitely curious to keep an eye on a couple of those little bit younger bucks that have got some years to grow. All right, we're here. We have made it back to the scene of the crime. I am standing basically 10 feet from where I shot my buck and probably 15 feet from where my tree is. It's incredible just how close this deer really was to me. I mean, he was 10 yards, I mean, tops. I was right on top of this deer. What an awesome hunt. All right, so my card reader is having little issues with that SD card, so I will check it later when I get to my computer back at camp. So let's head over to, these next 2 cameras were actually really close to where I'm at, just a couple 100 yards away. One of them's on that spring, the other one's just on top of that ridge there. So let's go get those cameras. $645 pictures on this camera. The spring is right down there, right just down the hill. I really like this spot. This is a pretty good hunting location. There's that young 10 point on November 7th. I got a lot of pictures of him throughout the year. There's my buck on November 9th. So 5 days before I harvested him. There he is, daylighting the 13th. The day before I came in here and shot him. I was in Missouri. There's a pretty good 9 point chasing the doe That may be the 9-point I've been getting pictures of all year. Here's my buck again on the 13th. So 1 day before I ended up shooting him. So overall, a lot of the same deer, which is really nice to see. That means that these deer feel comfortable here, comfortable enough to be patternable. And it's pretty cool knowing that I shot the most mature buck on the specific area here of the property, which makes you feel pretty good about what you're doing. Alright, so this camera had a little over 1,000 pictures on it. Now, this one's been soaking the longest. I hadn't checked this one, I think, since middle of October. So it's had quite a bit of time to collect quite a bit of pictures, to say the least. Not a bad buck there on November 8th. It's a pretty good looking 9-point there on December 3rd. Well, not too much on this camera except young bucks, does, and deer hunters. Alright, so I was quickly running out of light last night. I had to get out of the woods. My headlamp was running low on batteries, and so was everything else. So I just had to get on out of there. Finally got to my computer here so we could check out that camera that wasn't working. Let's go ahead and let's pull up these pictures. There's that big 9-point. The night I shot my buck, it kind of looks like he moved into the area that my 10-point was taking over for the most part. That buck's out of the way. The more dominant buck is out of the way. The next dude in line is going to move into his area. It's a good looking 9-point. Different deer on December 3rd. Oh, here's that really cool buck again on December 3rd at 10:08. I don't think it's a third main beam, but man, it sure looks like it. That's a crazy double brow that he's got going on there. The age class on this area was extremely impressive. I mean, I was super impressed with how old the bucks were in that specific area. Even though the antler size, you know, we weren't looking at 160s, 170s, 180s, but I mean, they were old mature deer, and especially as public land hunters, it's all we can ask for. It's exactly what we want. Here's that 9-point again on December 13th. Couple good looking young bucks. Lots of potential there. There he is. There's that 9-point. January 5th. He officially made it through season. That is a very good sign. That's a young deer. I don't know that he's a whole lot older than 4.5, which means that there's a decent chance that he's a straight up stud next year. Overall, it's a very, very good camera pull. Very successful. It confirmed that I shot the most dominant buck in that specific area. There's only 2 bucks that showed up on camera that possibly could have challenged him for that location, but they were random rut movers. They didn't show up once, maybe twice total on camera. Thanks for watching, y'all. This was the main property that I had cameras on this year, so this coming year we're going to be, you know, throwing cameras out into a lot of different properties, a lot of different states, and it's going to be exciting. So keep track of what's going on. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see y'all on the next video.